Hi everyone, it's TanyaMFK here with your 52 weeks of momentum lesson recap. We are in week 13. Welcome if this is your first time. I am Tanya Marie Figueres-Kreisinger, more easily known as TanyaMFK. I am a member of the 52 Weeks of Momentum course by Benjamin Hardy. And I come here every week to just share what I'm learning, the insights that I'm finding, the exercises that I find are working great for me, and just here to share so you can tag along and get a piece of your momentum. This is in no way a substitute for the course and all the extra things that we are doing in the course. So with the biggest obvious one, I'm not Benjamin Hardy, right? So you're just going to hear what my interpretation of what I'm learning. And I'm happy to share that. But definitely when you get a chance, if you get a chance, grab that course. It is amazing. I'm learning awesome things in it. Absolutely love it. So, let's go ahead and just jump right in. Week 13 is actually really interesting because he interviewed his aunt. And his aunt is an entrepreneur and she's just kind of making her life happen and seemed to be super awesome and a big inspiration for him. And they just really kind of talked about life and accomplishing things a lot. So since I can't bring Benjamin Hardy's aunt here, I'm just going to kind of cover some of the topics and general themes that were really brought up during this conversation. And, one of the things that was talked about a lot was, really just making life what you want it to be and jumping and leaping and grabbing it now. So if you remember last week, we talked about making your bucket list, looking at that and seeing what is attainable right now, in this moment, like the next 30 days. And we even took a moment to say, what would it look like if I accomplished all the things on my bucket list just this year? So all these things that you might have written down, okay, 15 years from now, by the time I'm 60, I hope I can do this or whatnot. What if you did them all this year? What if all of these things actually happened this year, right? It's a crazy way to think, right? Like all this distant stuff right now, I would probably have to shift my focus a lot if I was to make this happen. I'd probably have to let some things go but I bet you it could be done, right? I bet you some of these things, at least some of them could be done. Because when the why is strong enough, you can find and bear any how. When you really, really want it, there is a way, and for me, I grew up super poor. And we moved several times. I went to 13 different elementary schools. We lived in cars, homeless shelters, and we definitely were lived in a mind state of survival. And I carried this thought process with me throughout life, for a really long time. And at a young age, I was fortunate to be mentored by another young entrepreneur. And he had just finished reading Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was all the rage at the time, right? If you've been around in the entrepreneur world for a while, I probably remember when that book came out, I was like, wow, just mind blowing. And I checked it out and stuff. I was still kind of new to all of this stuff. And the concept that that really struck me and I walked away with was really the core concept of that book, which is, poor dad says, well, I can't afford that, well, I would love to have a Porsche, but I can't afford it. And rich dad says, how can I afford it? So rich dad technically might actually not be able to afford it, walking right out, but instead he doesn't look at it and say, well, I can't. He looks and says, how can I? What are the action steps? All right. So when you start to look at these things and say, could it be done in the next 30 to 90 days? You'd have to think, well, what would I have to do? What are the action steps? I'd certainly have to call, Sally and ask her if she, would let me borrow her skis or whatever the thing might be. Right. But you have to start thinking about it. And as you do that, little by little, without realizing this, you'll actually create an action plan and say, so now the next choice is whether or not to take the steps. Wow, right? Oh my gosh, these things could happen maybe, these things on your list. So, when I was younger, I definitely lived in this someday mindset. I had these things on my list and these thoughts like, it'd be amazing, one day, someday to do that. But it was so far away how I couldn't fit. So I really focused on working and doing. And I kind of got this skewed concept in my head somewhere that if I could just get all the things on my list done, then I would relax. If I could just hurry up, when I was really young, so it was like, if I could just hurry up and make enough money to hurry up and buy a house and hurry up and have the car and hurry up and do those things, and I could get all my stuff settled finally, right? Because I definitely grew up unsettled. So I just get all my stuff settled and it would all be done. And then I will have arrived and I can relax and I can focus on these things that I need to do. Okay, so now being much older than that now, and for most of you, I'm sure who are have also been past that point in life, go, oh, you sweet thing. It doesn't work that way. And no, it certainly does not work that way. There are always more things on the list. There are always more to-dos, could-dos, should-dos, and it'll just keep piling up. You have to choose to stop to do these things. You have to make it happen. And honestly, for me, it wasn't until I found myself a widow at age 25, having lost my husband to cancer, that life smacked me in the face. And I actually had a moment to stop and go, this isn't the life that I want to live. It's been clear to my face that life can be very short, and I'm not on the path of where I'm not living the way that I want. And I finally, stopped to think about what I really want in life and what I want to contribute. So unfortunately, too many of us are living that same way. We're living a life of have-tos and obligations, and we're never actually taking a moment, because we're so busy, we're never taking a moment to stop and think, what do I really want? How am I really spending my time with this short time that I'm given? And am I really headed where I want to be? And it's usually not until a point where you're gone so far off course, you smack into a wall, that you're like, oh crap, is this where I've ended up? How did I get here? And then we're like, whoa, I need to make a change. And we're so far off course. We don't have to wait until we're so far off course. For me, it took the death of my husband at such a young age to realize I was not headed where I wanted to be or living the life that I wanted for myself. So don't let it have to be something so drastic or so tragic that brings you to a place to stop. It's just a couple moments to stop and think, am I going where I want to be? Is this the life I want to be living, right? And an easy way to do that is to implement something called forcing functions, right? It's a concept called forcing functions. And this is something where you implement something in your life that's going to force you to make a change now. And it could be something as simple as buying that ticket to the place, right? Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, if you're like me, you want to think about every little detail, and you see that ticket and it's on sale or whatever to wherever this place you've always wanted to go. And instead of trying to have it all figured out, you just buy the ticket. Oh my God, I just bought the ticket. I guess I have to go now. I guess I'm really going. I guess I'm going to have to figure out how to make it happen. I have to figure out how I can afford a place to stay while I'm in Italy, or how I'm going to pay for the food there, or whatever. But I guarantee you will figure it out. And you're going to be so excited because you now have a ticket. It's now real, right? But that forcing function pushed you to do it. It can be something else that was, paying for that trainer. Holy crap, I put money in it. It's going to force you to get up. It's going to force you to get up early and go meet that trainer now, right? Because you just put the money into it. Like, signing up for that 5K or something as simple as actually really getting rid of all that junk food in your house. It's gone. And that is going to force you to only eat what's left, which if you did it the right way, the only stuff left is probably all the healthy stuff, right? Now you got no choice. You're forcing functions, right? Forcing functions is a powerful, powerful thing. And honestly, forcing functions is how I'm here in front of you today. Because in the beginning of this course, I said, okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to share these lessons I learned with all of you every week. And people started subscribing and they're showing up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to keep doing this, right? And of course, I intended on it. That's why I said I'm going to do it, but I really have to do it now. I jumped in and just said I was going to do it. And here we are. At least, we're at week 13. I have 52 weeks of forcing functions ahead of me. So yeah, it works, guys. Forcing functions are amazing. And really, in perfect action, taking that leap, grabbing life the way you want it, just make it happen. So, this was really the big theme and kind of concept that that Benjamin Hardy's aunt talked about, which is, their own experiences of taking these leaps and just making things happen and knowing that you're going to figure it out. But it's really switching the thought process of what has to be ready, or these foundations, or these right times, all this stuff, right? It's just, it's all over the place what we really do to ourselves. But don't wait till you hit the wall. Don't wait till it takes tragedy or something drastic to push you into that. You have a great way to choose it and do it now. Okay. Another thing that was mentioned through their talks was a book that Benjamin Hardy's actually had out for a while, before Willpower Doesn't Work came out, and it's called Slipstream. And this one is really interesting. Definitely kind of heady, but it's in a easy way to describe. I would say it's about like time hacking. And he kind of explains how for most people, when we're busy, we're filling our time with just stuff and things and obligations, time goes by really fast. Usually because you're like, well, I don't have any time. Oh my gosh, it's already Sunday. I didn't even get 25 of the things I wanted to get done. Not even close. I didn't do any of them. And it's just going. And then you find yourself, oh my gosh, it's already the holidays, all of that. And he says, it's, when you're moving through space, the faster you move, the slower time goes. So he likened this to the movie Interstellar. Now, if you guys follow me anywhere else, I'm horrible at movies. I can't even tell you the last time I saw a movie. So I know of this movie. I haven't seen it. But he does say, I guess I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. They go to some planet and, 1 hour on that planet is 7 years on Earth, right? Because they're going so fast. They're going so fast that, Earth is when it's going, and just 7 years passes. But for them, it only seems like an hour. And that's really kind of what he likened it to, is that the more momentum you have, the more life that you're packing into your hours, the more time you'll end up having. In a sense, the slower time will feel like it's going, because the more you're in that present moment, the more you're experiencing it. And he does give you some ideas of how to kind of initiate this in your life, So Slipstream, definitely check it out if you haven't read that. I read it a while back, and it's really neat. It's really interesting, whole different way of looking at things and how to. I would say it's kind of like the time hack, but don't think you're going to get productivity, how to check your email faster. It's a whole mindset, right? So it's really, really interesting. If that's your thing, definitely check that out. Also, the other thing with this and writing down the bucket list and doing the things that we talked about is when you start, writing down your goals, and in this course we started it by writing our 5 goals and, the whys and all of those things. Then, we have daily goals, we have weekly goals, we have monthly things we do, we have the bucket list that we make. It's making you take the time to sit and acknowledge it and really think what is it that I want to do? And when you do this, you're going to see how it shifts how you choose to spend your time, how, you're going to say, okay, I really want to learn how to speak Mandarin. And so am I going to spend this hour watching TV, or am I going to use this valuable hour as well to maybe go do the thing I said I wanted to do, which was learning Mandarin, right? Now, this isn't that watching TV is bad. It's just shifting your focus that, did you say you wanted to watch TV, or did you say that you wanted to learn the language? That's what you really wanted to do. Then you're going to be more aware and conscious of how you're spending your time, and you'll probably end up using that hour to go learn Mandarin, which would be awesome, right? So yeah, these are the things and how we need to shift our thinking. If you'll realize that when you really want to do something and you committed to it, you're going to find a way. If you want a vacation and it costs $10,000 and you're like, oh my gosh, but you said, you know what? No, I want that. I'm going to make that happen. You will find a way. You can find a way. It's just about being aware of it, that this is really your goal and this is what you want to do. So we were really challenged this week to look at pursuing big things and getting out of our comfort zone and, getting the momentum that this course is named after, right? So, how do we get this momentum? And when we look back, we talked a couple weeks ago about Dan Sullivan and 10Xing things. We've talked about that. And so you set these bucket list items as real goals, you'll start to realize that you're going to push the distractions away. Especially if you decide to get something done in the next 30 days. You're going to be like, okay, I can't focus. I can't deal with this now. I can't deal with this now because I have to do this, right? It's like you can be so busy and so overwhelmed. But if there's a fire in your house, guess what? That becomes priority. I can't deal with all the stuff that was so important a minute ago because right now I need to put out this fire. But why does it always have to be the negative thing, right? So why can't it be like right now, the fire in my heart is this goal, this bucket thing on my bucket list, and I'm going to get it done. So all this other stuff can fall away right now because this is what I want to do with my time. This is how I want to live, right? So on that, I'm telling you, choose one thing, and this was our challenge. It's not just me telling you. Choose one thing on the bucket list, and instead of trying to accomplish it in the next 15 years, choose one thing and say, you know what? This one, I'm going to do it in the next 30 days. 30 days, maybe 30 to 90 if it really has something, but no longer than 90 days. So 30 to 90 days, choose one thing, and you're going to see that it's going to change. So most people think that they have, more time than they really do. And when you're filling your time with the things you don't want, that time's going to go really fast. Like we said, when you're filling and pursuing your life with all of the great things that you want, you're going to see that your life's going to be really fulfilling. So this can really change everything in your life. You're going to stop doing the things that don't go along with your goals and with your focus. You're going to, as we talked about in the other lesson, you're going to focus on only the things that make the boat go faster. And you'll start to learn to measure all of your actions and all of your tasks and whatnot of whether or not they go along with, will it make the boat go faster? Will it get me closer to my goal? So, this was a really great quote that I liked as well. It's, motivation is not what gets you moving. Motivation is a byproduct of that forward momentum. So you need to just start going. I don't feel motivated to go to the gym. Okay, then just go to the gym. Okay. If you do it, you're going to start to get motivated. You could lose that 1 pound. Maybe it wasn't the 50, which it shouldn't be. That'd be really weird if you did that overnight. But the 1 pound, that's going to be the motivation, but you can't do that until you showed up. So show up, start moving. And the byproduct of that movement is going to be the motivation. And the more you do that, the more motivation comes, and the more you're going to keep those wheels going, and you're going to feel awesome. Because they say the longest life that's lived the longest life isn't measured by years, but it's how much life you packed into those years, right? Now let's pack in a lot. So the exercise this week, like we talked about, is look at your bucket list you made, choose one thing to commit to do in the next 30 to 90 days. And to take it a step further and make it really real, you should comment below and tell us what it is, and let us all hold you to it. I would love to see you guys comment on this, and we can come back and check on you in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. Tell us how long it's going to be, and let us all hold you to it. Like, that'd be awesome to see you and show us the awesome thing that you did on your bucket list. Maybe you went skydiving. Maybe you learned Tai Chi. Maybe you can have a conversation in Mandarin. I come to my mind because I want to learn Mandarin, and I want to do Tai Chi. So whatever it is for you, do it, write it down. Tell us what it's going to be. That'd be so awesome. I'd love to see it in the comments. And we do have some required reading, for us in the group. So again, as you're tagging along, grab some of these books and do the reading with us. And for the next 60 days, it is The Alchemist. So I know a lot of you have read that. Maybe it's time for a rereading. And, Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. So Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I don't know anything about that book, so I'll be excited to learn about it with you guys. So let's get a jump start on that. And that's it. I hope you guys were able to grab some gems from this week that you can take with you as you go through all your stuff. And if you liked hanging out with me, then please definitely click that subscribe button, and you'll get notified when our next lesson comes up, which is every week. And make sure you comment below. And if you like this stuff and you want to learn how to apply this to your business and your entrepreneurial journey, then definitely join me. Follow me on TanyaMFK on Facebook and Instagram, where I actually do live lessons every week where we take these same types of concepts, but we put them into very specific to our businesses and marketing and all of that stuff to grow what we're doing. So yeah, that would be exciting. I'd love to see you guys there. And that's it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye.